Hello and welcome. Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Helena Paczuska and I am eBooks on Science Direct Manager. I have the pleasure of welcoming you to our today's webinar, How to Publish an eBook by Charlotte Cockle, a publisher from Elsevier. I would suggest viewing the presentation in full screen. It will allow you to concentrate fully and avoid the distractors. I think it is very important because the presentation should be very useful for you. If you are with us today, it means you are interested in publishing an ebook, so please stay with us until the end. This session is being recorded. It's no need of taking the notes unless you want to do so. All attendees will automatically receive the link to the recording, and the recording will be available on demand and the same link as registration. What is more, if you need the certificate, it is going to be ready for you after the presentation. There will be a button, request a certificate, and you can just download it for yourself. If you wish to ask any question, then please use the Ask a Question feature on your screen. We are more than happy to accept all your questions, but possibly will be not able to answer all of them because the time is limited. Please let's not stop yourself from asking the questions. If you think about something that we could help you with after the presentation, please feel free to use our coordinates and we will be happy to reach you out and discuss everything. And now it's time to introduce our today's presenter, Charlotte Cockle. Charlotte is the publisher for Energy at Elsevier. She leads an international team of acquisitions editors that research, acquire, develop, and publish research conference content under Elsevier's academic press imprint for over 24 disciplines. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Human Genetics from the University of Nottingham, UK, and after spending time as a research assistant at the Royal Veterinary College in London, she joined Elsevier in 2015. Please join me in welcoming Charlotte Cockle. Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you, Helena, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. I am delighted to provide you with information on the process of book publishing. As Helena explained in her introduction, my team focuses on recruiting authors and editors and working with them to develop book proposals. Before I walk you through the book proposal process, though, I'm going to discuss why you may want to write a book in the first place, and if you do decide to write a book, why specifically you should choose to write for Elsevier. I'll then highlight our content acquisition strategy and how that's relevant to you, and then talk to you about how you can craft a perfect book proposal. I'm then going to finish by sharing some brief insights from our current authors and what they have enjoyed about the book publishing process with Elsevier. So to begin the workshop today, why write a book? With a core academic focus being to publish journal papers and research articles, why decide to write a book at all? While journals are used to disseminate new research on a regular, up-to-date basis, books contain foundational knowledge for longer-term reference purposes. In other words, books tend to represent authoritative collections of accepted scientific theories and would be used primarily as general reference or course material. But although books and journal articles provide different types of content, they are intrinsically linked. Our extensive knowledge of researcher workflows has shown us that book content is a critical component to journal content, providing unique benefits to drive research forward. You can see on the graphic here that books provide a broader view of the topic and can offer a compilation of expert opinions across the globe, as well as how other related fields are connected. So in a sense, you can think of it as an article providing depth of a subject, whereas a book provides breadth of a subject. For researchers and students to conduct complete research, they need to use these two content types simultaneously rather than separately. The key here is that no one piece of content is used in isolation. In a survey of Science Direct users, 78% of our users agreed that interdisciplinary research is critical. Our users have a wide variety of roles and they need multiple kinds of content, be that journals, books, or other innovative products, to help accelerate their learning and research process and to give them their answers and fast. I'm going to talk about Science Direct and co-usage a little bit more later on, but the bottom line is that access to books and journals on one platform provides more meaningful insights. Now, when it comes to the book itself, we have seen so much evolution of this product type, even in the short 6 years that I have been at Elsevier. User expectations have transformed, and as a result, the book is changing too. So traditionally, you might think of a hardback book used in a classroom for teaching purposes, where users would work their way through information from cover to cover. And whilst that's still one of the use types utilised today, actually there are a whole host of other ways that users expect to use book content. For example, maybe you want to flick through to a certain chapter or method, or even a protocol within a book. Or there is a certain concept or foundational key term you want to look up. As well as digesting book content from start to finish, users expect seamless integration of reference literature across disciplines to address their questions. So essentially what we're saying is the book is a packaging option. On the left here is your traditional print book. We have many successful titles that rely on the traditional user need, be that in a teaching context or as part of a core researcher role. Next, we have a computer screen showing a PDF ebook. Readers can search for a specific piece of information immediately, skipping to the section that is most relevant to them. When you found the answer you were looking for, perhaps you also came across something that you need to research further, a topic or a field that is relevant to your primary interest that you need to understand better. That's where something like Elsevier topic pages come into play. The final image on this screen shows an example of a topic page on a smartphone. Again, I'll go into more detail on this later on, but overall, it is this kind of innovative content solution that has enabled us to meet the changing needs of our book users. We regularly keep in touch with our authors and solicit feedback from them, and recently we conducted 58 author interviews to identify their motivations for writing in the first place. We followed up with a questionnaire and received 205 responses. These are the top 4 benefits authors derive from writing books according to the results of that survey. So the first is that there is an interest in the subject and an enjoyment of researching and writing on the topic. The second is to also fill an information gap in the market. Perhaps in your own research, you've struggled to find the information you need, and after spending hours for looking for the right material, you realise there is actually the gap in the market for your area of research. The third is to gain a reputation and standing in your field. And it's key to note here that book chapters are indexed in Scopus, so book authoring will help raise your H-index. And again, more about this later on. And fourth was to provide materials to support their own teaching courses. It's amazing how many professors and lecturers approach us and say that whilst teaching their course, they couldn't find one good book to use throughout. Instead, they resorted to using 3 or 4, supplemented by journals and articles. And now they want to write a book that suits their course and many others like it. The fifth motivation not mentioned on this slide, and which runs parallel to the career advancement motivation in journal publishing, is the desire to leave a legacy of one's accumulated knowledge. And with many of our books continuously updated with new additions as research progresses, your legacy could continue for many years to come. Okay, so if we assume that I've succeeded in persuading you that you should invest your time in creating book content, why publish with Elsevier specifically? As I'm sure many of you are aware, ScienceDirect is the world's leading source for scientific, technical, and medical research. It combines authoritative full-text scientific, technical, and health publications with smart functionality so that users can stay informed in their fields and can work more effectively and efficiently. There are over 35,000 book titles available on ScienceDirect and over 3,800 journals. Now, as a user, that probably sounds pretty daunting. How are you going to find your way through all of that content to find that one piece of specific information you need? However, as I said, the heart of ScienceDirect is smart functionality. And actually, because every content type is available on one intuitive platform, users that use ScienceDirect save an average of 47 minutes per day during their research process. You don't need to worry about scouring lots of different websites and flicking through a multitude of books. It is all in one place. So co-usage is where ScienceDirect is uniquely positioned to provide seamless access across content and topics to answer user needs. One of the ways this is achieved is through co-usage. And what we mean by this is when a researcher moves across subject areas and across content types. What we can clearly see with our co-usage tool analysis is that researchers are reading journal articles and then progressing to book chapters to continue their research. And vice versa. They begin with book chapters and then do a deep dive on a topic using journal articles. Overall, books and journals are used together 33.4% of the time, giving users a seamless research process. The graphic on the right is an illustration of what this might look like. So at the top of the blue arc, under blue disciplines, is the area of agriculture and biological sciences. Users looking up book content in these areas then move to the journal disciplines listed in the green arc. In particular, engineering, material science, and medicinal dentistry are subject areas which show the most journal co-usage within our book content. So this is a really great tool for us to see how our users are moving across content areas and content types. Science Direct topic pages provide readers with a comprehensive database of reliable background and contextual knowledge, making it easy to get up to speed with new and unfamiliar concepts. So if you come across an unfamiliar term in your research, you don't want to waste time hopping from site to site just to explore a single unknown topic. Topic pages connect you to summarize knowledge and act as a discovery tool for further trusted reading, making this the ideal environment for intuitive learning and sparking your creativity. This slide shows an example of what a topic page looks like, and through these pages, book content becomes dramatically more accessible, providing context and deeper insights. Topic pages showcase how we use technologies such as natural language processing, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to pull content on a single topic from various sources into one easy-to-navigate location. So if you're a user on Science Direct and see a hyperlinked word from a journal article, you can click on that word and it will take you to a topic page, just like this. You'll then be presented with a definition, related terms, and the latest articles and book chapters relevant to that term. And just to clarify, topic pages are completely free for all users. As the largest indexer of global research content, Scopus includes titles from more than 5,000 publishers worldwide. All Elsevier books are automatically put forward for Scopus indexing, and based on their own selection criteria, Scopus will determine if a book should be indexed or not. The minimum criteria Scopus considers for indexing is all books must contain ISBNs, they must be available in digital format, all metadata must contain BIC or BISAC subject area codes, which is something Elsevier as the publisher will take care of, and all book content must be in the English language. Book types in scope are monographs, edited volumes, major reference works, and graduate level textbooks. Please keep in mind that Scopus is a publisher-neutral organisation. In other words, it selects only a percentage of books from each publisher in order to maintain publisher neutrality. Things that would not fall in scope include dissertations, atlases, yearbooks, biographies, popular science books, manuals, those kind of things. We don't have a lot of conference proceedings published as books, but we do have a handful of these as well, and these would be put forward for indexing too. Underlying high quality content is key to Elsevier's product strategy, which I'll discuss in more detail later on. But the bottom line is that Elsevier books are trusted by researchers to be of the highest quality. We have the highest relative citation impact among major book publishers at 2.1, and this is why Elsevier books have so much success with Scopus indexing. So now I'm going to spend some time talking about the foundation of our products, creating high quality content where it is needed most. I'm going to walk through our editorial strategy and show you some case studies from our existing authors, and then we'll move on to talk about how to craft and submit the perfect book proposal. As with any business strategy, our first step is to evaluate what is already available in the market. What content types are available? What subject areas are covered? You can then begin to identify gaps and where users have a need for a product. If we start at the bottom of this pyramid graphic, we have broad foundational content types represented by major reference works or MRWs. These present a comprehensive introduction to a subject and are an ideal entry point for someone unfamiliar with a topic that quickly needs to get up to speed. They also provide useful links for further reading. Moving up the pyramid hierarchy, the content becomes gradually more specific and focused until you get to journal articles that are usually very narrow in focus and provide more detail about more recent findings or theories. Often journals represent a number of cutting-edge theories with several approaches on the same subject. They can also be seen as work in progress on not yet universally established knowledge, but still essential for scientific discovery. Without books, or the bottom of this pyramid, comprehensive foundational concepts, methods, detailed descriptions, and in-depth exploration of topics would not be covered. You can figure out where the gap is for a foundational piece of content based on what is publishing at the higher levels of the pyramid. So I'm going to pause here after that overview of content, and I would like to take a moment to ask you about the research you do. So I'm going to launch the first poll of today about what type of content you find most useful to your research. Okay, the poll is open now, so you should be able to enter your option. Going to give it about another 30 seconds just for people to enter their content types that they find most useful for research. Okay, so we're starting to see some answers now. Lots of people saying journal articles, but really nice to see a good portion of people saying a combination of the above and using reference books and textbooks as well. A couple more seconds and then I'll end the poll. Brilliant, thank you everyone. So journal articles is definitely the most popular, but like I said, nice to see reference books and textbooks in there as well. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, you'll be convinced that there is some more value in books as well, particularly reference books and textbooks, which we see a lot of usage for on our platform. Okay. So as we've just seen, there are lots of different content types we offer, but the core of our strategy across all of these is a user-focused, data-driven approach. So how do Elsevier acquisition editors decide where to focus their efforts? At Elsevier, content acquisition doesn't happen in a vacuum. Our books reflect research focused on solving a societal problem, and in each discipline, content is developed to follow its relevancy to the global society. The emergence of a topic can be measured by the growth in publication output. So our first case study today is on human virology. Virology has for a long time been an important subject within Elsevier's life sciences program. And within the virology field, human viruses persistently indicated as an area of high and steady research output, as you can see by the key terms word cloud and scholarly output chart at the top of this slide. Based on analysis of our program at the time, and this was back in around 2014, our editors identified the need for a new project in human virology. At that time, coronaviruses were a relevant but minor topic within the area. Obviously, in today's climate, that has changed drastically, which you can see by the huge growth in scholarly output in 2020, shown in the coronavirus output chart on the upper right-hand side of this slide. Within the subject of human viruses, SciVal data showed South Korea as having both strong scientific output, as well as content that was globally relevant with a high field-weighted citation impact. South Korea had a high incidence of previous viruses and similar viral infections, such as the highly pathogenic avian influenza. As a result, South Korea had established strong research connections with other leading countries in the world, forming key knowledge exchange networks. Following all these indicators, it became clear that a publication on viral infections in humans, written by experts in South Korea, would be well received by the academic community. The next step was to identify who could do a good job at leading this effort. Using Scopus, the acquisitions editor was able to identify candidates based on their reputation, area of specialty, general experience, and publications history. Dr. Wang-Shik Ru of Yonsei University, and now CEO of the Institut Pasteur Korea, had an ideal profile. Dr. Ru's book published in 2016, and even before this global pandemic, his book was highly used at a rate consistently above the portfolio average. From 2017 to 2019, it had 40% more usage than the average book in the portfolio, and in 2020, completely unsurprisingly, the usage is at an all-time high of 90% greater than the average. A second edition of Molecular Virology of Human Pathogenic Viruses is now in development with planned enhanced coverage of COVID-19, something that researchers are crying out for. This is a fantastic example of how a topic published as book content over 4 years ago is still very much relevant today, and how we are always conscious of updating and releasing new editions to ensure our foundational titles still contain the most up-to-date and relevant research. Again, this highlights the importance of providing a trusted resource to the research community. Our second case study takes a deep dive into electronic, magnetic, and optical materials. Similar to the first case study, you can see how we use various data points to analyze what the market need is in this space. The area overall, as shown by the graph in the middle here, is huge, with consistent output year on year. The key terms analysis on the left shows several fast-growing areas, and a term that repeatedly comes up in our research is spectroscopy. Our acquisition editor did some further research, including reaching out to their contacts, and narrowed down the topic to dielectric spectroscopy. This is narrower in scope, but still shows good output and growth, and it also aligns with our journal program. Our acquisition editor then began working with Dr. Yuri Poplavko at the National Technical University of Ukraine. Dr. Poplavko has over 40 years of research and teaching experience within electronic materials and is a renowned expert in the field of dielectrics. They've also published with us before and is a relationship we greatly value. And here is the final product that Dr. Poplavko created, which is due to publish, in fact, has recently published and is available now. So dielectric spectroscopy of electronic materials is part of our renowned Woodhead Publishing imprint and reviews the latest advances in dielectric spectroscopy methods. As I mentioned earlier, Dr. Poplavko has also written other books for us, 2 of which are on this slide as well. One of these, Functional Dielectrics for Electronics, was co-authored by Dr. Yuri Yakimenko, another prolific scientist that we are privileged to work with. You can't see them on screen here, but afterwards, when this presentation is concluded and further information is uploaded, you will be able to see the link for all 3 of the books here. Okay, so I'm going to move on from strategy now. Let's talk about the book publishing cycle and what you can expect from the book publishing process. And we're going to start by taking a look at the whole end-to-end process of book publishing. So prior to the starting point of this cycle is the strategy exercise, which is what we have just gone through. And at the head of this cycle is the phase where acquisitions editors begin soliciting book proposals, and this occurs throughout the year. We are also happy to review unsolicited proposals, but regardless of where the proposal comes from, we evaluate it carefully before determining what to do next. Once the proposal is refined, it is sent out for external peer review. These scientific experts provide feedback on things like the table of contents, the tentative contributors, and the editor team. We anonymously collate this feedback and provide it to the editors so that they can further strengthen their proposal. The final proposal is submitted to our internal editorial board for approval, and once approved, we offer the editor team a contract. Once the contract is signed, that is when you begin inviting and confirming your chapter contributors, writing and reviewing draft chapters, before finally submitting the final complete manuscript to us. Our production department then copy edits and typeset your book, and you will review and approve proofs before finally we publish. I'm going to go through some of the key stages in further detail, but I'm predominantly going to focus on the book proposal process so that you have a very clear idea of how to present a book idea to us. So we'll talk more in a moment about exactly what should go into the proposal itself. But first, it's important to note that a high-quality book proposal makes the review process go so much more smoothly and minimizes the need for queries and multiple rounds of edits. So putting in that extra time and thought at proposal creation will save you time during the review process. It is also worth noting that although many publishers, Elsevier included, post a generic book proposal template form on their website, some acquisition editors have their own version which captures additional details of great value to their particular subject area, audience, and reviewers. So it's always a good idea to make contact with the relevant acquisition editor before you get started. Also, I just wanted to confirm that this is not intended to be a daunting process, and a good acquisitions editor will guide you through each step. The role of an acquisitions editor is to offer support for the author and help make a strong book plan. and as such provide a lot of guidance and honest feedback along the way. You, the author, are the subject matter expert, and your acquisitions editor is the publishing expert. And they take their responsibilities to the scientific community and to their team at Elsevier very seriously. So this is what our standard proposal form looks like, and I'm going to go through each of the sections. Starting at the top, selecting a topic is part science and part art. You want your topic area to be broad enough to attract a large audience, but not so popular that the market is inundated with publications. Carefully select your topic and find a title that succinctly summarizes it. Help our reviewers to understand your planned content and think about how potential readers will discover your content. It's crucial to choose a working book title that clearly describes the material you are covering using the most relevant terms. Building on making your content discoverable, we also ask for 5 to 10 keywords, and these are what potential readers would use to search for information on your chosen topic. They should be words different to what is already listed in the title to maximize the likelihood of a reader being presented with your book in their search results. In other words, the better your keywords, the more likely readers will find your book. Next, it's important to specify whether your proposal is going to be authored or edited. Are you a small group of individuals, maybe up to 3 or 4, planning on writing the whole thing? Or will you invite leading researchers from around the world to contribute a chapter or 2 each and then review and edit the manuscripts? As an editor, you can still write a few chapters yourself, but it is expected that the bulk of the project will involve additional contributors, unlike an authored book. It's also ideal for you to attach your CVs separately so that reviewers get a detailed overview of your career. In this proposal section specifically, our acquisitions editors are looking for a succinct paragraph highlighting your proudest achievements. What position do you currently hold? For how many years have you been conducting research in your field? Any awards? Have you edited a book before? Think of it as a brief biography that would feature on the back cover of your book or on our website. Then you need to explain to us what the background and purpose of your book is. Set the scene. Why is there a market need for your book? What pain points in a scientist's day-to-day will it address? What are the knowledge gaps or key problems your target audience faces, and how will your book resolve them? How is your book different from others that may be available on the market? We also want to see how you envision your table of contents. Will it be divided into themes or sections? Think about which contributors you would like to invite. You should provide tentative names for each chapter so we and the reviewers can see who you're aiming to have involved. Keep in mind that diversity is essential. We want to see contributors from a range of backgrounds across as many geographies and regions as possible. Not only does this maximize your book's global appeal, but it also means our customers have access to the latest research from across the world in the most fair and equitable way. Some books are more regionally focused, and we completely understand that, but for the most part, we expect to see diversity. Next, who are your intended readers? Are you creating an advanced reference book aimed at senior researchers, or are you creating a textbook for undergraduate and postgraduate students? Perhaps your book will appeal to several groups. And if you have links to societies or other institutions that you think will be particularly interested in your book, you should list them here too. If you haven't already covered it in the background section previously, now is your chance to tell us what problem your book solves. Pitch it as a problem solution statement. So for example, problem. There has been a wealth of articles published on coronaviruses. Researchers need to access trusted information in one place. Solution. This proposed title includes foundational virology information whilst also highlighting the latest advances in coronavirus research. There's also space for you to present the key benefits to the audience. You can create a bulleted list of all the ways in which readers will benefit from using your book. This list can focus on things like the features most valuable to your readers. So for example, does it contain study questions to test students' knowledge at the end of each chapter? Does it provide further reading at the end of each chapter? Do you have methods and protocols for specific processes? What key pieces of information does it cover? If you're struggling to think of the kinds of things to highlight, go to our Elsevier store website and browse through the titles listed. Every single book on the website lists key features, so these will provide some great examples for you. In case it's not explicitly clear already, you can point out the use case of your book. What we mean by use case is what is the purpose? Will readers be students trying to learn something new? Will they be looking for methods to put something into practice? Or will they be conducting research to further deepen their understanding of the field? Perhaps it's even a teaching aid. Be as specific as you can about how you envision readers using your book. Next, it is excellent if you are familiar with what is or isn't already available on the market. If key competition to your proposed book exists, acknowledging this and responding to the strengths and weaknesses of that competition will help to position your book clearly for our reviewers and customers. Are you aware of any recent publications or manuscripts in preparation that are likely to compete with your work? And a tip here is to not tell publishers that your book will be the first of its kind, even if that's true. The publisher will need to understand which established markets your book will sell to. And if you tell them it's like nothing else, you're actually telling them that there's no established market for it. Instead, if there is truly no direct competition, focus on books that are related to it and highlight how yours will be different. Next, think about how long it is going to take you and your co-editors or authors to prepare the manuscript. Please be realistic. Our typical turnaround time from when you sign your contract to when you submit your manuscript is roughly 12 months, with books publishing 4 to 6 months later. We will agree a tentative schedule initially, and we'll keep in regular contact to see how you're progressing. We understand that delays can happen, so please just keep us informed. We want to work together. We also want to know the specifications of your manuscript. How many words are you anticipating overall or per chapter? How many figures, tables, and graphs do you plan to use? And will these require colour or black and white? So be as specific as you can. The next two sections are something many of our acquisitions editors have added to their personal proposal forms for further detail. If you download a form from our website, these sections may not be present, but that doesn't mean you can't go ahead and include the information in other sections, such as benefits to audience. Content transformation refers to the structure of your book, and I'm going to go into this topic in a little bit more detail as well, a little bit later on. For now, although our production team handles things like layout and formatting, you as editor or author have control over the content elements themselves. We have found that the more structure and consistency a book has throughout its chapters, the better the experience for readers. So, for example, will every chapter begin with a brief introduction and finish with a glossary? Will there be call-out boxes for key definitions or case studies, or will there be worked examples or decision trees? Be as specific as possible and really think about how you want to present your information. Many of our authors have either published with us before or have submitted more than one proposal to us, which is perfectly fine. And you should list the titles you have published or have in development. If you have been a chapter author on one of our books, list that as well. It's great to see what experience you have. But if this is your first book, please don't worry. We are still very much interested in working with you. It just signals to our acquisitions team what level of guidance you might need throughout the proposal process. Finally, we give you the opportunity to recommend reviewers that you think would be valuable in evaluating your proposal. These shouldn't be people that will be directly involved in your project, but can be people you are associated with professionally or who conduct research in your area. We will solicit our own independent reviews, but there's a good chance we will reach out to your recommended peers as well. And once you submit a proposal to us, our standard response time is 4 weeks, although usually someone will get in touch with you much quicker than this. I have included the link to download our standard proposal form from our website, as well as the proposal mailbox you can send proposals to, or inquire about which acquisitions editors work in your subject area so that you can connect with them first and discuss your initial ideas up front before submitting your proposal. At the very beginning of this slide deck, I also provided my personal email address, so if you're really not sure and want to talk with me about your ideas, but you'd like some help with crafting your proposal form before submitting, please do reach out to me as well. Okay, so I realised that I skimmed over the various roles involved in a book project, so I just wanted to give some more detail here. This shows a breakdown of the key differences between a book editor, a book author, and a chapter author. One question we often get is how much does it cost you as the editor or author to publish your book with us? And the answer is nothing. You do not have to pay us to publish your book. We appreciate all the effort that goes into editing or authoring a book, and we recognise this through a royalty package based on the sales of your published book in both print and electronic format. Okay, so I'm going to do our second and final poll for today. Before we take a look at manuscript development and what goes into the writing process, how many of you at this point are thinking about writing a book yourself? Okay, so I'm going to keep this open for just about a minute or so we can see if anyone has any book ideas in mind right now. So does anyone have any book ideas right now and are interested in authoring or editing a book? Yes, a very popular response. I would like to author or edit a book, but I'm not sure I have the time right now. Very, very common concern that a lot of new editors and authors approach us with, and that's why it's so important to us that we're as flexible as possible with our schedules so that we can really fit it around your day-to-day roles. So if you do have an idea and timing is your main thing holding you back, please do reach out to us anyway, because we do have projects that work on a much longer time frame. Some will take 2 to 3 years to develop if it's a more foundational area that the research isn't as fast-paced. Or maybe we can put you into contact with some of our connections for co-editors or co-authors to help speed up the process and take the burden off of you as much. But great to see that there are quite a few of you interested in writing a book. Okay, just ending the poll now. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the manuscript development process, and this is once your project is approved and contracted and your writing process can begin. And you will have an editorial project manager assigned to your book who is there to help with any queries you have. Your EPM will guide you through all the steps of manuscript preparation and will also send you some additional resources to assist you. These include author guidelines, reference and style guidelines, chapter templates, and more. I actually joined Elsevier as an EPM before I moved into the acquisitions team, so I can give you some additional insights in preparing your manuscripts as well. A general rule of thumb is that we expect final books to be around 200 pages minimum. And by final, I mean once our production team have turned your manuscript into a book, not that you have to provide 200 pages in Microsoft Word or something like that. We have a variety of interior templates that we can choose from, and this means we can be really flexible when it comes to the overall length of your manuscript. A good minimum word count to aim for is 100,000 words, and this, along with figures, tables, or charts, will guarantee a decent extent. So just a ballpark figure to give you an idea. If you're really not sure, though, please do ask your acquisitions editor. If you're worried about the book being too long, perhaps there's an opportunity to divide it into 2 separate volumes. Or if you're worried about it being too short, your acquisitions editor may be able to advise you on other topics for you to consider incorporating based on the output from our analytics tools. We also don't have strict rules for the number of authors contributing to the book itself. So generally an editor team will consist of up to 5 individuals, though we have had projects that have had more. And with regards to the chapter contributors, we don't have a maximum number either. So if you have some chapters written by 1 person and other chapters written by a team of 10 people, we have no objection to that. As I said earlier, our main concern is ensuring you have diversity in your contributors, geographical, career stage, general backgrounds and experiences. The more diverse, the better. I realise I've given you a lot of information on the book proposal and manuscript development process, and this can seem a little daunting. However, as well as a very knowledgeable and passionate team of acquisition editors and editorial project managers on hand to assist you, we also have some great online resources for authors. Researcher Academy is one of these, which offers an in-depth look at various ethical issues in publishing for any author or potential author who would like clarification. And you will also have the information, you have the link here, on this slide, so that you can check out some of these resources for yourself. Okay, so I touched upon content transformation earlier and wanted to spend a little bit more time on it now as it plays such an important role in all of our book content. Elsevier believes in transforming our content so that our customers can search, find, and access their solutions as quickly as possible. Having structured, templated content means that customers can do just that, as our content is highly discoverable and accessible. When you start thinking about your book idea, don't just think about the content you want to include. Think about how you can transform it and present it in a way that is truly useful to your target audience. Here are some examples of content elements from one of our successful animal behavior books. Comprehensive chapter outlines means customers can tell almost instantly exactly what is going to be covered in each chapter, so they can focus on the research that is most relevant to them. You can see in this example that the outline presents 2 levels of headings to really convey the themes and topics covered in the chapter. Think about who your target audience is and if there are specific content elements they might find useful. So, for example, if your book is likely to appeal to students, think about elements such as learning objectives so they have a very clear idea of what they should understand by the time they finish a chapter. Instead of having a glossary at the end of a chapter, consider calling out key terms and definitions throughout, driving a really engaging customer reading experience. Similarly, instead of a standard bibliography at the end, you could call out further reading at the end of each section within a chapter, so customers know exactly where to look if they want to take a deeper dive on a specific subject. The thing we probably hear the most often from our customers is that they want to know how to interpret and apply research to real-world situations. Case studies can be so important in illustrating a variety of applications and helps customers understand exactly how they can use your research in their own lives. Your content will likely contain figures and tables, but how about also considering things like mind maps and decision trees? These can really engage a reader and help them to understand your thought process or help them to make a decision during their own research. Structured content elements can really make a difference to customers, driving usage and market appeal. As you start to complete your proposal form, please do think about what content transformation elements you think would work well in your content. And again, do ask your acquisitions editor for help, and they will be able to tell you what elements are driving usage at the moment or are popular in their subject area. Once you've submitted your final manuscript, you are ready to enter the production process. You will be assigned a production manager, and they will oversee the entire production process through to publication. The production manager will contact you with details of the process and to outline the schedule with you. Your manuscript will be copy edited, typeset, proofread, indexed, and structured for online publishing, all by professional suppliers. The production manager will carefully coordinate each step, all the while working closely with our colleagues in editorial so that you are fully informed. The electronic proofs of your project should be sent to you approximately 2 months after handover of the final manuscript, so you can go through and see exactly how the page layout will be and provide feedback on the editing process. And then we are ready to go to press. On average, 60% of our book sales come from ebook purchases and usage. However, that still leaves 40% for print books, and we don't underestimate the value of the traditional book model. This is why we publish your book simultaneously as an ebook on Science Direct, but also as a print book. Post-publication, your book enters into our lifecycle marketing program. This program includes sending email alerts about new and popular publications, soliciting reviews and nominating our content for awards, providing flyers and business cards for author use, creating blog posts for noteworthy publications. Additionally, and most importantly, as I mentioned earlier, we ensure all publications are included in abstracting and indexing databases and are optimized for online search and discovery. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening today. I realise we have really given you a lot of information to process and we'll be happy to take questions. Before we finish, though, I'd like to share some feedback from some of our authors. Once your book publishes, you will receive a feedback survey from us, which allows you to comment on how you found the whole process. We are only human and we don't always get it right, but for the majority, we have built some fantastic relationships with our authors. Not only have they enjoyed working with us, but we have very much enjoyed working with them as well and really value the relationships that we've created. We hope you found today's workshop helpful, and I'm going to go ahead and hand back over to Helena to see if we have had any questions at all. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Charlotte. It was really interesting to listen to you. Even again, for me, I still find something very interesting in your presentation. It seems that there are not too many questions. Possibly the presentation was quite clear or maybe overwhelming at some point. I have some questions. The first one, which I really like, is: do you publish every book that is submitted?
No, we don't publish every book that is submitted. As I mentioned before, our proposals do go through an external reviewer process. So we will receive feedback from the reviewer. Sometimes, unfortunately, it might mean that it's not quite the right time or it's not quite the right market for your topic, so we may decline it. But often acquisition editors will work with you to see how you can improve a proposal or even offer advice on what subjects they're looking for right now in case you have a different idea that you might be able to submit to us. So not everything is accepted, but we do try to work to make the proposals as good as possible and turn things around if we weren't initially thinking of accepting it.
All right, thank you for the answer. I have another question. How long does it take to publish a book? I believe this one was answered in the presentation, but maybe it's worth to say again how long it takes usually.
Yeah, so typically you'll sign your contract and then we usually offer around 12 months for you to completely write the book from start to finish. And then once it's submitted to us, it can take up to 6 months for the production process to complete. We can do it a lot quicker, maybe 3 to 4 months, but it does depend on how long your content is, how complex it is. We definitely don't want to rush it. So a good timeline would be to think of 18 months from start to finish, from when you've signed your contract to when the book publishes.
Thank you for your answer. And the other question: if I want to become an editor, where do I apply?
So if you follow the link in the slides, there was a link to our website which has our proposal form. You can download the form, fill out your ideas, even if it's really brief and actually you just want to talk to someone, and there will be some contact details. It's a generic mailbox that your request gets submitted to, and then the person who mans that mailbox sends it on to the correct acquisition editor so that you're immediately connected with the person in the subject area most relevant. And if you don't want to submit a proposal form, you can just drop an email or a message and say that you're interested in talking to someone, what your research background or area is, so that we can get it to the right person. And then we can set up either a call or an email exchange just to go through your ideas. So yeah, definitely go back to the information on the slides with the email address and also the link to our website.
Thanks a lot, Charlotte. And the final question, which is a very surprising one: can I send my book to you? I guess this is somebody who wrote already a book in English, and possibly they would like us to estimate whether the book is worth. Maybe is it possible to publish the book with Elsevier or republish? I don't really get the question, but the question is: can I send my book to you?
Yes, please do. Especially, we don't actually have it too often where a complete manuscript is ready, but if you have written a book already and it's completely done, we can absolutely have a look at it, and it will follow a very similar process. So we'll still send out a proposal form for review, just so that reviewers don't have to read the whole manuscript. Maybe we'll send them a couple of sample chapters as well, so they really get some insights into your book. And then once it's approved by our internal editorial board, instead of you going through the manuscript development process because you've already written it, we will go straight to production. So it'll be a much faster timeline, and we'll probably publish around 6 months later.
All right. I think these are all the questions which were answered and well asked by the audience and answered by us. Let's have another couple of seconds to wait if something else comes to your minds. If not, then I would like to thank you so much for joining us today. I am really happy always to host people during our webinars, and I am looking forward to receiving even more questions from all the attendees after the presentation. Please feel free to reach me or Charlotte if anything needed, and please remember that it is still the possibility of downloading the certificate after the presentation is ended by us, which is going to happen in a minute. Thank you, and hope to see you very soon with another presentation from Elsevier. Goodbye.